On the low, but you know that you're feeling it.
Peace, family. Your boy Fonzie Neutron representing for Bout Online. We definitely appreciate each and everybody that taps in, listens in, especially the growing audience that we have on Spreaker. So I definitely want to say shouts out to you guys around the world who be tapping in with the Bout That experience. If you're joining us on YouTube, as usual, don't forget you can always leave your comments, which we will get back to you on, and like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to be updated on new drops and content. So it's been quite a busy week in hip-hop, and with just worldly events. You can hear some of our takes and a lot of the things going on over at Bout Online, and also on the DOA TBM for more socio-political content. So this week we are joined with the Bout That Music Group. We've got our artists from the UK. We're going to be chiming in with some artist spotlight, and this time we've got somebody who is quite prolific in his own right. You know, definitely a hard-working brother who understands the music business, is out there grinding, putting things together for himself, working independent to my knowledge. And you know, I met him a few years back at a industry event, and I've seen him, you know, grinding, grafting, putting his stuff out, you know, constantly doing shows and stuff. So we're gonna do a bit of a spotlight on his music and ask a few questions just based around some of the hip-hop conversations that we currently have going on. So without further ado, we want to welcome this brother JKas onto the platform. What's good with you, fam?
Good day, everybody. Good day. I would say morning or good evening or good night, wherever you are in the world, but good day to everybody.
Yeah, depends what time zone. We do have a lot of people that chime in from the US. You know, shouts out to Los Angeles, our West Coast correspondent also. But yeah, so sometimes the time zones people catch it at different times, so we have to, you know, always at a clash sometimes when it even comes to recording and putting things together. So I'm actually glad that we're on the same time zone now, so it wasn't actually too much of an issue to get this recorded together. Obviously, you know, the schedules and stuff, but at least we could have worked the time, and it's the same time for both of us, because sometimes I gotta be connecting with somebody in East Coast time, West Coast time, or Central time, you know, Europe, wherever. You know how it goes yourself, man.
That's it, bro. That's it. But you get the job done. That's the main thing, you know. Some people put it off, but you're like, nah, let's do this. Let's do it.
Most definitely, man. So Jay, I mean, you know, I guess to kick things off the right way, for a lot of our audience who may be familiar, some may have come across your work, some may not have. Do you want to tell the people where it is that you hail from?
Well, I'm from a town called Sheffield, the Still City, Sheffield, UK, South Yorkshire. Yeah, that's where I'm born and bred, bro. Born and bred in Sheffield.
Okay, so you've always grew up in Sheffield, or have you lived in other places around the UK?
No, I've always lived here, bro. Always lived here. As we say, Chef City, born and bred.
Okay, so you know, for those that might not be familiar, Sheffield, I believe it's like the northern region of the UK, of England.
Yeah, it's about 200 and odd miles north of London.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what was the scene like, I guess, growing up there? And was it like the 80s? Did you grow up in the 80s?
Yeah, 80s, 90s. Yeah, it was a decent music scene. There was, you know, a lot of reggae sound systems, house parties. You know, seeing your parents was always active with music. Every black household at them times was just music, festivals, carnivals. But over like the last, say, 20 years, it's kind of like tailed off, to be honest. Yeah, used to have Sheffield used to have like a community vibe, but now it doesn't have that vibe no more. In little pockets, but not as much as it used to be. It used to be thriving.
Okay, I mean that's interesting. I mean, I'm just trying to think like what was like the hip hop scene like, because I know we're currently in a climate where hip hop is probably the biggest like genre across the board, and you know everybody's sort of been familiar with hip hop, like especially after the millennium. But I can like recall earlier points before that where not everybody was necessarily listening to hip hop, especially when it was you know being rooted and put out, and so that's why I was kind of, you know, what was it like up Sheffield then, you know, for you to hear hip hop? What were some of your early introductions? How did you get into the music and start hearing this hip hop music that was being created in the US?
I would say my cousin, my mum played a big part in introducing to hip hop. Actually, I know she always listened to like American music, so we had like in our house we had. I remember seeing the Dr. Dre, the Chronic album when I was little, but I didn't know what it was at the time. But I remember, I remember the white case, Dr. Dre's face with the ganja sign and whatever. I remember seeing that when I was little. But then my cousin, she got me a Snoop Dogg Doggy Style tape, cassette tape when I was about maybe 10, 11. I used to listen to that and then hide it because, bad words in it. So I was like, I don't want my parents to find this. So I used to listen to that. Chris Cross, MC Hammer, Run DMC. Um, but then my mum, she got into me into like Tupac and Biggie and Method Man. And that's how I found Wu-Tang Clan. So yeah, my mum was a heavy influence for me getting into hip hop, I'd say. And
Okay.
that's for the Sheffield scene. That's for the Sheffield scene. Growing up, we had groups like Hoods Underground. I don't know if you heard of them. There was like the Sheffield UK version of Wu Tang. They had like many man in their group. They did bits on Radio One. They did stuff with Tim Westwood, and then over time we had Channel U came along. So if you remember Channel U, Channel
Yeah,
AKA,
I
I
remember it.
was on there. Yeah, and yeah, I think Roots Maneuver was up here in Sheffield. So we had Roots Maneuver. Yeah, we had bits and bobs here and there, but Sheffield
Okay.
did used to have like a good like little hip hop scene.
Yeah.
But yeah, yeah, it was nice. It was nice. It was a nice little scene going on back in the day.
Okay, that sounds dope. I mean, it's interesting, especially just looking at the different areas within the UK and just how hip hop was also being practiced, and people doing their own, as you said, interpretation in some aspects. Where you had like guys where you would liken them to be like a version of like Wu Tang or something, because
Yeah. Hmm.
obviously we saw those guys do it first. There's a lot of conversation that's happening at the minute within hip hop,
Hmm.
primarily brought to the forefront from Tariq Nasheed, who is the producer of multiple documentaries and works within the black social sphere. um,
Okay.
he has asserted, amongst with others like Lord Jamar, a brand Nubian,
Mm.
that
Yeah.
they feel as though hip hop was solely created by foundational Black Americans or Black American youth, which
Yeah.
went on
Yeah.
to inspire
Definitely.
others. And they feel as though it's a bit of a misnomer where you have people from Jamaican or Puerto Rican, different kind of backgrounds and stuff, saying that they
Okay.
created hip hop too, or they was
Mm.
had such a hand in it too. I mean, do you have any thoughts on that? Being the
I, I
like
think.
an MC from
I,
the UK.
I think looking back, I think the foundation was the American youth, primarily the Black American youth, and then over time, people get interested and they contribute their own little bits, and everybody starts coming together, and now it's formed what it is today. But for me, I would say, everybody comes from a different place, but they was all living in this one place. But primarily, I believe it was the Black American youth who started the hip hop movement, and
Yeah.
then everybody else come and added. Everybody came in, added their little bits and pieces.
I'm with you. So, with that being said, how long have you been doing your thing, making your music? Adding your bits and pieces into the mix, so to speak.
Yeah, man, I've been doing this for like more than 15 years, bro. Always learning, studying. Like I like listening to like Motown music, roots reggae music. I listen. I like to listen to how people structure and write their songs, and then put it and add it to my game and develop myself that way in rap form.
How would you
Like,
describe the sound and I guess behind your music? The sound around it. What's the background inspirations behind making your music? You've mentioned obviously Motown and things like that, but what would you then use to describe your sound and your motivations behind making your music?
I say my sound is fun, very charismatic, and fun and cheeky. I say I don't know. I try to bring out my personality in the music side. As the people say, I'm a very like cheeky, sometimes mischievous person, and then when they hear my music, they can say, "Oh yeah, I can hear that I can hear that in your sound now." But I like to have fun. I like to inspire people. I like to give good energy. I feel there's too much negative in music, and I like to be I consider myself like adaptive and versatile, whilst not losing myself to without losing my identity, so to say.
Yeah, I think that's important, and especially with hip hop as vast as it, dare I say, should be, there is
Hmm.
arenas for that. When we think of different groups that have existed, and solo artists and stuff as well, respectively, over the years that bought it differently. They wasn't just the same as everybody else. They
Hmm.
stayed true to themselves. Like the
Hmm.
Houdinis.
Hmm.
And there's different ways of just laying your music down. And I guess as an artist, everybody kind of goes through that where it's like remaining true to yourself. Sometimes there's that line
Hmm.
between creativity. I guess sometimes it's like
Hmm.
how far can I stretch this creativity where maybe this is like a
Hmm.
character extension of me, or is this
Hmm.
me projecting to be something that I'm not? And sometimes I
Hmm.
feel as though maybe a lot of that balance has been lost within music nowadays, where it's more just polarized to one way, where for the most part
Yeah.
people are doing that, as opposed to as you said, the former, where it's just staying true to themselves within it but still being artistic and creative.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's it. That's it. It's like you look back in the day. I think back to watching like MTV days, and like you'd have Mos Def come on, and then you'd have some like Yin Yang twins come on. There's like a balance. So you had like the best of both worlds, but like now in this day and age, I'd say mainstream is just more or less one sided.
I think that's probably when I think definitely suggest it's come from just like the internet rise and
Yeah.
just people's ability to be able to put more out themselves, I guess, where
Hmm.
at one point there was more constraints to get to the same platforms as maybe, like
Hmm.
majors and stuff, whereas now, people can do it. I mean, you could have did it to a degree before if you got your CDs in the shops, but then in terms of promotion,
Yeah.
it was,
Hmm.
some of us know the old school game. We used to have to leave our CDs in the shops and, sell over
Yeah.
time and then
That's it.
cut the
Sale and
deal
return,
again.
innit?
How it goes, man. So, but
Hmm.
I say that to say, yeah, the business has changed. There are positives and there are negatives because obviously, as an independent artist, you can use a lot of these platforms to also self-sustain and do your own thing and stuff as well. So I think it's more for the audience. How hard is it for them to filter through a lot of the BS that
Yes.
being
Yes.
pushed through from the mainstream and
Hmm.
the publications and stuff as well. So that's why we like to do our little bit. Even here on the podcast, we obviously talk about things that are happening in the industry. Sometimes people like the drama, the politics, the socio-political
Hmm.
topics, but I always feel it's important to give voices to artists and stuff as well because within that, some people they want to hear something new, they want to hear something fresh, and
Yes.
sometimes they don't know until they've heard it and stuff like that as well.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
But we're going to continue with some music. I definitely want to shout out to Mixer Reviews and say to check him out at Mixer Reviews. He will be doing some fire reviews. Hopefully, he can review your new projects and stuff. Also, we'll speak to him and we'll get that done. But before we get back into some music conversation, I want to ask you, how do you generally spend your time then outside of music?
I go to the gym. I'm currently studying music industries management at university, so I'm heading into my last year of that right now. Yeah, gym. That's to stay active. I work. What else do I do? Jam.
Yeah,
Just chill out,
with
really.
that workload,
I,
it doesn't sound like you get the you're afforded the luxury to get to spend much time outside of music because a lot of the
no, no, no.
stuff is within it. So it's not necessarily a bad
Yeah.
thing. I mean, what are your current thoughts then? I guess on how
I,
the
I,
music business is nowadays.
I, I think there's a lot of mm, it's in an odd space. I think it's in a very odd space, especially with like I keep hearing stuff around Spotify and AI creating AI artists and generating views so labels can pay themselves without actually signing artists. It's I think it's all a bit mixed up right now, isn't it? So I think being independent is probably the way until somebody likes, I think, what's it called? Like, shakes up the industry.
Yeah, no,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I hear you with the technology and the AI. It's definitely come forward in leaps and bounds. I mean, recently I had the opportunity to do some testing for some.
Mm.
I don't know if I can mention, but I can mention it was through Music LM, I believe, through Google AI test kitchens, so some of that sort of stuff.
Uh-huh.
But um, I'm checking out the capability of some of the text to audio production generators and stuff,
Okay.
and I'm convinced. I'm like, people have been using these, for maybe years prior to the technology
Yeah.
becoming
Hmm.
more to hand as it is now. So that's one thing. But I mean, it's there's so many different, I guess, ethical implications people have, and then some people have creative implications. I mean,
Hmm.
there's things you
I
can do
think.
now on applications, not just in regards to sound, even in regards to graphics, that it pretty
Oh
much
yeah,
does
yeah.
everything for you. And some people
Hmm.
then argue when who then has the ownership of it. And I think that's what a lot of it comes down to, because some of these tools now you
Yeah.
can use them and generate stuff, but they take the creative ownership of
Hmm. Hmm.
and you could argue, well, they actually created it. You didn't. Did you put
That's
any
true.
so
But it's like, is that your intellectual property or is it your
yeah,
intellectual
that's
property?
exactly. So that's
Uh,
there's a lot of that people need to obviously be careful with and stuff as well. I mean,
mhm.
it's here. It's going to be interesting, as you said, just to see how things roll forward, because I think those who are at certain positions to utilize certain levels of leverage can be advantageous in different ways, right and wrong.
Yes.
To utilize things like that to, as you said, fledge numbers, create things that
Hmm. Hmm.
could would take a long time to be done otherwise, but they can speed up those processes
That's
very
it.
tremendously and stuff as well. So it's got to be quite interesting. I mean, I'm not like completely like anti AI in any kind of regard and stuff like that as
Oh
well.
no, no.
It's it's definitely quite
I mean,
interesting.
like I say, we've been living with it for a long time since predictive text times on all Nokia phones. Well, probably even way before then. So it's just they're just well, it's just constantly in development.
That's right. I mean, so switching up again, we're gonna get back into some of your music and what releases you have planned for the near future and current projects that you have out.
Right. So far, so I just released a new project called One Summer. That was yesterday. That features another Sheffield artist, my good friend Ruel Lorbian. He's just released his project called Slow and Steady 2 weeks prior to my one yesterday. I've got another project coming out with Ruel Lorbian again and a South African Portuguese rapper called Mike Triller. That comes out September 16th. And then I'm working on another song with another Portuguese artist who's from Leeds, called Indigo. So we've got like Afro fusion, Brazilian sounding track coming. So yeah, there's plenty. I'm trying to clear my MacBook right now, so that's why you're gonna see a lot of stuff coming out over the next few months. Is like I'm just gonna be like, just get rid, because I've been sat down on a lot of music, and I'm like, what's the point in sitting? What's the point in me being an artist if I'm not gonna give it to the world? It's not mine to keep.
Yeah, no doubt. And the thing is, you've got like so many different, like we spoke about earlier, just avenues now to release your music and even get your music featured in different arenas. Some people are pitching their music to be put into films, for instance, games, things of that nature. Is that something that you could be interested in doing more of? Like,
Um,
music out there in that kind of capacity also.
most definitely, because I had somebody contact me to ask if I had anything for, is it Kung Fu Panda 4? I think they was struggling to find the track, so I was like tricking them all sorts. I didn't get on there, but you know, for the people to approach me, I was like, oh, so there's people actually watching what's going on over here. So that was a good thing. Obviously, there's radio, there's your BBCs, there's community radios, and also I work with lady called Tracy Dawkins. She runs a PR company who I use from time to time called New Lease Music, and they are very helpful with getting stuff on radio, playlists, and on playlists, and getting interviews as well. So if anybody out there listening to your podcast, there's a good lady from London called Tracy Dawkins, New Lease Music PR company.
Okay, new lease music. So,
Mhm.
definitely an important aspect. And that's one thing that we definitely love to see independent artists who are taking care of business, knowing that, some things, they say nothing comes to a sleeper but a dream. And sometimes they have these dreams, and some people say you got to chase them, but I always say you gotta build them because you can sit
Mhm.
there and not realize there's fundamental work that needs to be done. So even sometimes as an
Yes,
artist, you
yes.
can't do all of it yourself. You have to
Nah, bro.
then
Mm.
go to the professionals, work with the right people. It might take you a couple of
Yes.
times, but when you hear recommendations
Mhm.
like this from a brother who is out there in the field, he's kind of giving you guys a bit of a blueprint, to how you can go about working on your music, releasing your music, putting it out there. I think sometimes some people think they just drop it on
And then that's it. It's
SoundCloud,
gonna,
for instance, and that's and
yeah. Mm. But yeah, man, nah. I used to have that mentality, but now I'm like, no, you got to be active, connect with people. That's another important thing, connections, bro. You got to connect with people, find out who's who, and because you don't know who you're meeting or where that person could take you. Yeah, but it's more of relationships, and a lot of observation and listening.
that's right. And before we wind down, we've spoken a bit about your music. We're going to get back to, but I guess just looking at things nowadays, we all need inspiration. As you said, sometimes you're in the gym working out. Sometimes you might need to just zone out somewhere and just hear something a bit different than your own stuff. What music then are you listening to at the moment from other artists?
Well, currently I'm listening to Benny the Butcher. I like Griselda, man. I'm a big Griselda fan guy. Yeah. I like. What's the project? Tenor Talk 4.
Okay.
I think that's a good project. I was peeping a bit of that new Common and Pete Rock album yesterday, so I'm probably gonna go back to that today on my way to the show. And also the Kendrick songs. They've had them on repeat. The little beef him and Jacob being have it. So yeah. So,
Yeah, that
who
Kendrick
else?
song has been pretty infectious.
Yeah, but my favorite song out of the whole of the back and forth is 616 in LA. Yeah,
Okay.
I think that's the most slept on track out of the whole beef saga.
Yeah, I'd be remiss if I said I listened to every one of them. I probably did at one point, but the impact that I've seen that like us have has just been quite phenomenal to say the
Oh,
least.
it's definitely, bro, definitely.
Just across the board, and people around the diaspora like really embracing it and stuff as well. And
Hmm.
I was thinking, and some say it's one of like a diss songs that sort of become a hit song in a different regard. It's like a hit party song as well, but it's a diss song.
Yes,
And
yeah, uh-huh.
I think it's a testament sometimes to the creativity as black people where they create something and then other black people get behind it. And when other black people really get behind it, everybody wants to
You,
get behind it because it's
you,
like,
you know it's something special, then, bro.
yeah. So
Definitely know it's
and
something
yeah,
special.
that's kind of become rare just over the years in hip hop because it's been so much creativity and stuff, and some feel as though the culture does need something new and new direction, but there are people
Hmm.
doing their bits. So I guess it's who we give the focus to and what we choose
Hmm.
to put our focus on. Now you mentioned just your style of hip hop being a lot more fun and celebratory in life, that sort of thing. Usually I ask people their top five rappers, but I'm going to ask you
Oh,
slightly differently. Your top five
uh-huh.
rappers that you would say were different, were brought like a different element. So it doesn't necessarily have to be, your top five of all time, but it could be
Yeah.
top five standouts that you feel were creatively, different or unique or, broke the mold
Hmm.
in a different way.
Well, you gotta go Tupac, bro. Always gotta go Tupac. That guy was just a different level of creativity. different level, and the creativity and honesty. Him and DMX are my two, would be two, for similar reasons. Creativity wise, I would even say Hendrick as well. Um, hmm, what else is there out there? I like probably even J Cole, and I'd say I'd say JKas because that guy is just different.
Okay.
It's just different, bro. Just different.
I think is that our 5 day? I believe that's five. Pac,
Yeah,
X,
yeah, that's
Kendrick, Cole,
right. Like Jada.
and Jadakiss.
Mm-hmm, hmm.
Okay. So
I'd also like to say I'd say Snoop though because he's very creative and versatile as well.
yeah, Snoop Dogg.
Yeah.
Shouts out to Snoop. I just saw a video of him bearing the Olympic torch running around Paris. And, so Snoop is like Snoop literally get everywhere. He's
That's it, bro. That's it. That's
you
it,
tell
bro.
that WWE, you see Snoop jumping off the top rope. Snoop everywhere.
That's
Shout
it.
out to Snoop and you guys get your Snoop cereal as well. Also, massive.
The dog don't sleep.
Yeah, support those dogs, man. And so okay, before we wind down, then where can the world find you on the web? Do you want to drop your social media, things of that nature, where everybody can connect with you online?
Where you can get me on the Instagram, Twitter, TikTok at JKas Music, or one word, that's JKas Music. YouTube, which is Music JKas, or Facebook at JKas Music. Yeah, that's where you can find me. I'm all on there, all your Spotify, your iTunes, these, all the usual places. And if you want to buy direct my material, go to Bandcamp, JKas Music.
Okay, dope. And those, who are listening on Spreaker, you can go onto the website. I'll see if we can get a link in the comments. We'll certainly be able to get a link in the comments on the YouTube. I just know Spreaker sometimes is a bit more limited with character limit and stuff. So, guys, we will put a link in the description where you can find that, and we will put some links over on Bout Online. Also, and speaking to Mixer, hopefully we get a review for your latest project on the line so people can check that out as well. So, before we wind down, we've got a bit of time left. I mean, we can wind down and you can have the floor right now. If there's anything you want to say, anything you want to plug, anything you want to let the people know to look out for, any shows you've got coming up, I know things might change by the time of this release, but the floor is yours right now. You're speaking to the world. You're going to have worldwide listeners all across the world, from the UK to the US, India, everywhere. The floor is yours. You let people know what you want.
Man, put me on, you put people on the spot and you're like, damn, what can I say really? I say, yeah, stick to your guns. If you're creative, stick to your guns. Obviously, don't you gotta live. So obviously, get something that's gonna aid you on your journey, a job. You need to fund yourself and connect with people. Yeah, if there's something that you can't do, you don't specialize in, like you said, go and find a specialist who does it. It doesn't have to cost you an arm of your leg. Trust in yourself, trust in your journey, trust in the process. Yeah, and reach out to people like Bout Online. Be everywhere, be everywhere. But where can you craft? Also, where can you craft? Because some people just like to jump out the gate and think they've got it all. Like it's taken me maybe over 15 years to get as good as I am without actually being out there. So now when people approach me, I'm like, yeah, I'm ready for this. I'm ready for that. I can hold my own because I wasn't too eager to be that guy up there. So yeah, man.
Well, there
Yeah.
you go, wise words, man, and definitely
But
big you up.
marketing is very important.
Oh yeah,
Definitely.
yeah, no, 100%. I mean, you can add on to that if you want to add on anything to marketing. I was just bigging you up because I was saying, it's interesting and it shows you're a good, humble brother because sometimes you give people the floor and it's like sell yourself. They can they will sell themselves, but what you actually did was kind of gave advice to like up and coming artists, young people, and not just young people, could be anybody, but so it was
That's
quite humble and modest and stuff of you, man. So but is there anything specific you wanted to touch on marketing and stuff as well before we head out? Or
uh, somebody was saying yeah, with marketing, yeah, it's all about figuring out what you're trying to sell really, and brand yourself, and not diverting too much one way or the other, but keeping your core values, and keeping your core values and what you represent. They're two important things for an artist when it comes to marketing and branding.
definitely important, man. And sit down with the right people, and those things that you might need help figuring out, there's people out there that can and will help you with it. There's even a musicians union, you guys can join. There's a lot of
That's it.
organizations out there, help musicians, different guys that are doing a lot of good work that can help support an artist along their musical journey and endeavors. So guys, it is Saturday, the 27th of July, 2024, as per this recording. You boy fans in Neutron representing for Bout That Online. We're going to be rolling out next week with some more podcast content with myself and Floss. Let's talk about that, where we will be talking about different topics going on within the hip-hop industry and around the world. Don't forget the DOA TBM, more so specializing in some of our socio-political content, some religious content, and human interest stories. And we're going to be expanding a few other channels out. I can't say over the next few months, but do look out for some drops and some information which will be posted on Bout That Online. So guys, I appreciate everybody who listens in to the very end. If you are joining us on YouTube, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and hit that notification bell to be updated on new drops and content. And if you're listening in on Spreaker, do give us a favorite and a like, and I appreciate you guys so very much. JKas, I appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you, bro.
I appreciate you. Looking forward to hearing so much more from yourself in the future.
Thank you, bro. Everybody, Bout That Online. Support the movement. Salute.
On the low, but you know that you're feeling it. Them man are killing it. On the low, but you know that you're feeling it. Them man are killing it. On the low, but you know that you're feeling it. Them man are killing it. On the low, but you know that you're feeling it.